came in not knowing anything, how to play or march or anything like that, and kind of stumbled into the band by accident. My younger sister Bailey Ocker was going to the band office when I was in University Hall, and so one day she went. I was just riding with her because I had nothing to do that weekend that day because I was off of work, and she went to go get her saxophone. Bailey's always been the musician in the family. I didn't do anything that could go to her marching shows or anything like that. And so Pease came up to me and was like, "Do you play?" I'm like, "Not at all." He's like, "Do you want to learn?" I was like, "Not at all." And so he was like, "Come downstairs." So I went downstairs. He's like, "Here, have a trumpet." And I'm like, I don't know how to play. He was like, "We'll teach you how to play." And I'm like, "You don't understand. I don't play." "No, we'll teach you." So I get to band camp, and I'll never forget Rick Murad was the trumpet section leader at the time. And he was sitting there teaching me how to play, and he was just like, "Yeah, you just put it to your mouth and you blow it." I couldn't get any sound to come out. And he just walks away, and he walks upstairs, and he comes back down, and he goes, "I don't understand what you don't understand. You just put it to your lips and you play." I was on trumpet for 7 years, and I switched to tuba when Izzier asked me to switch to tuba, and that's what I've been ever since. If I had to pick another instrument, I kind of wish I would have played at the time. I probably would have picked trombone, not to low brass. No, but I was very happy. I met some great people in the trumpet section. I made friends who I still get to see and get to reach out to today and stuff like that. So now I have no regrets about the instrument that I picked. I don't like not being good at things. I really don't. Like, it would have been kind of easy to just, I'm not good at this, and just give up. But I don't like leaving unfinished business. And I felt like I felt kind of, I didn't like the whole, you're filling a hole thing. Like, if I want to do something, I want to contribute, and I want to contribute well. So for me to keep coming back and getting better and better and better and actually becoming a solid contributor, that was my biggest thing. Like, I was very reluctant to switch to the tuba for that reason, because I'm not a bad trumpet player now, but I was a lot better then, to the point where I knew that when I played and I knew what I was going on, I knew that I was on. And then you switch to tuba and then you start all over again. So I was really reluctant to switch, but the band had needs, and I kind of put that first before my ego. Between school and between having a job and between going to marching band and stuff like that, it kind of it honestly sometimes it just fit in where it could, and then stuff happened around it. Like I had responsibilities I had to take care of on both sides, and then band kind of fell in the middle. And I would do my stuff, and then band was something, and then I would do stuff afterwards. So none of my worlds collided, if that makes sense. My business at work or business at school was strictly at school, and then that marching band period, that 2 hours I had there, that was a different set of business I had to take care of. And then the business that business would carry over after it was over. So nothing I felt bled into my time before or after band. When I first got here, my weight was an issue. That was a big thing for me. So like just being able to keep up with you look at marching band when you're not in it, you're like, that's relatively easy. Then you get out here and you realize it's a little bit more challenging than you think it is. So being able to keep up with the pace initially at which marching band goes, which means it's not like breakneck, but it's if you're out here and you're out of shape, then you're already a step behind. And I know people kind of roll their eyes when P says, you should be doing something of some sort in the gym once a week. You really should, and I didn't, I really, to my detriment, I didn't take it as seriously my first year as I should have. Like, I honestly wish I was more prepared, and more engaged into what I was doing my first year. Like, I kind of felt like my first year, at times I was kind of going through the motions, and that was partially because, one, I was frustrated. I have a tendency that when I frustrate, I shut off and I cut out when I'm frustrated, and that's not only in marching band, but I could be in classes and stuff like that too. Like, I'm frustrated about something, I'll shut off. And my first year, because I wasn't good at it, and it frustrated me so much, and I couldn't pick it up quickly, I shut off at times, But I think that was probably one of the more challenging things to be receptive to criticism and to be receptive to being taught something and to know that you cannot pick up everything initially just because you're as strong as your weakest link. And I definitely felt that me not being able to keep up with the pace that band goes, that was kind of a detriment to the overall thing. My initial thing was my stepfather had multiple heart surgeries, and so you see that and you're like, yeah, that's not happening to me. So it was that coupled with if I'm in better shape, I can be more of an asset rather than a liability. Which, I mean, liability is a strong word, but in my mind, that's the way I thought about it. That if I can turn this around, I can be more of an asset than I am now. You know, not from not just from a playing standpoint, but from a marching standpoint. I'm still a horrible marcher, but you know, I'm better than I was before. You know, and every little bit helps. When I initially started, I was, you know, over 400 pounds, very sedentary and stuff like that. And now I'm 260 pounds, and I do competitive CrossFit for fun. You know, so just night and day what I could do then and what I can do now. You know, like you said, people who don't know me kind of assume that, you know, that's just how he is and stuff like that. No, it wasn't like that. And a lot of people, like, you know, me and Kyle Craig were both big guys when we came in there. And Kyle's jacked now. It's kind of crazy. The first time I could play a show was like a really cool memory for me, where I could play a show, the first time I could play a show from top to bottom and not freak out or something like that. I think that's a cool memory for me. It had to be my second year on the trumpet. Now, I don't remember what specific show it was, but I do know it was like my second year on the trumpet, that, you know, that I could play pregame and know what was going on. I could play a show and know what was going on and stuff like that, rather than looking at the page and going the entire time. You know, so that, like, those were cool memories for me when it wasn't so arduous, and it was more when marching band became not a task but fun. You know, when I went out there and I genuinely had a good time. Like the first year and a half, it wasn't not fun for me, but it was frustrating because you're surrounded by such talented people, you know, who've been playing trumpet for, you know, almost half as long as I've been alive at the time. You know, so you're talking about kids who've been playing trumpet for like 8, 9, 10 years and stuff like that. And here I am coming in, not knowing anything at all, but they were some of the friendliest people ever. Like, they didn't hold it against you at all. They were like, that's cool that you're out here trying. You know, and they appreciated that effort, you know. But then when you become a contributor and, you know, you get invited to, you know, postseason tournaments, and you get invited to away games and stuff like that, instead of just, you know, filling a hole, it's a different experience. I mean, we only been to 2 bowl games, but the bowl game for the Music City Bowl, we kind of had a battle of the bands with Minnesota, and that was one of the first times we did tag. That was a good memory. I think one of my favorite shows I remember playing was when we did Rhythm of the Night, which I think they were talking about they might do for the alumni band show. So that's kind of ironic that me and Kyle were talking about last night how we remember when we first played Misunderstood, and then we kind of hung our head that we've been in the band that long. The Misunderstood visual was kind of cool. It was just, I think because it was a fun song, just everybody was. Like, when the band is, I noticed that it's kind of crazy, and I was talking to Pete, which is one of the first year tubas, and it's crazy to me, like, how much work we do for 8 minutes on a Saturday. Just weeks and weeks and weeks of work for 8 whole minutes, and that's it. And it's night and day that when the band is really into the music, just how much more vibrant and how much more energetic the piece is. Like, I got that feeling last night when we were playing the Diva show, that the band was really into the music. And so when the band is really into the music, not only is it played well and it's received well, like, it's just a certain energy behind it that you feel, and it's contagious. Like, when the band's really into it and the band's really in the groove, it's a night and day difference when the band's really into it. It was probably when we beat Florida State. That was a while ago, though. When we beat Florida State, that was cool. I think they were like number 4 in the nation at the time or something like that. There was that one. that's probably like one of my favorite Scott Stadium memories. There's also after the Oakton exhibition when went to Maryland to beat Maryland. That was probably one of my favorite memories that we had because we had a really good exhibition and we got on the bus and went all the way to Maryland and beat Maryland at Maryland. And that was a good memory too. I think we were more blue collar when we first started, just because we had so few people, and we were kind of laid back. Just like the university didn't know how to receive us at first. Like I kind of felt we were kind of a novelty act at first, just something to occupy halftime initially. And now, I think we're much more business oriented. You know, we're like, it kind of felt like our first year. It wasn't like a ragtag group of. But it seems like we played with more of a chip on our shoulder back then because we had something to prove. Like we're not going anywhere. We're not just going to be here for a few years. Like we're going to be here for a while, some longer than others. So I kind of felt like we played with something to prove. Where now there are times I feel, and I'm guilty of it too sometimes, that there are some times where just. And I'm sounding like an old head right now. Back in my day, and I don't mean to sound like that at all, but it just seems like there are times where we can hone in our focus a bit more. You know, like there's certain shows that you're not going to like, and you're not going to want to be up for. But you know, like I don't feel like the energy level should change. And again, people roll their eyes when P says, you know, win or lose. We're winning by 20, we're losing by 20. It needs to be the same energy. It does, you know, from beginning to end. You know, even after that beating that we took Saturday from Ball State, you know, like, and it was us and two other people in the stadium. You know, like I mean, it's disappointing to see the football team bad, and not even from an aspect of we're not going to go to a bowl game this year. You know, they're out there trying their best out there. You know, and it's not like they're making mistakes on purpose and stuff like that. And I'll laugh and I'll joke and I'll have a good time and stuff like that. But for me, that's more of a coping mechanism because it sucks to see people. It sucks to see anybody put that much work into it, and then that be the result of the work. Because nobody practices to fail. You know, and I think that's something that Pease tries when he says practice performance. That's what he means by that. Nobody practices to fail. You know, and you know the whole starting and stopping and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I know how again people rolling their eyes and stuff like that. But why go out there and practice mistakes? You know, like people notice the little things. You know, like he said, the little things like where's the hand. Where's the foot and stuff like that. People pay attention to those things, you know, whether they know marching band or not. You know, and you know we don't go out in the field down there to practice mistakes. I'm sure Coach London doesn't set his guys up for failure either. He's just trying not to make sure that we don't go out there and look like asses 8 times on a Saturday and stuff like that. You know, I actually have a friend who I'm going to go see next month who's doing a volunteer stint in Puerto Rico. She was on drumline, Bonnie Stender, and she's in Puerto Rico, and I'm going to go visit her for a week. She's one of my best friends, you know. And you know, I have another good friend, Sarah Luddle, she's in pharmacy school at University of Maryland, Baltimore right now, you know. And if it wasn't for the marching band, I definitely wouldn't have met these people and had these people, you know. In my life, and they've done, you know, like when my mother had heart surgery, my father had heart surgery. You know, Bonnie was still in town, and like little things she would do, like making sure to help me to make sure that my parents got back and forth to hospital visits and stuff like that, or helping me run errands and stuff like that around the house. Little things like that, you know, like the stuff that those type of things. Like if I hadn't met, like none of that would have been possible. Mr. B. He really coached me up because there were definitely times where I wanted to cut and run my first year, just because I couldn't. Again, like I said, when I don't get something, I really wanted to cut and run and just do something else. He gave me tools to be a better musician. Mr. Cook, me and him, we've developed a better relationship. Like trained for a marathon together, so we not only did we have time outside of we had time outside of the marching band environment. He described to me like there's Drew and there's Mr. Cook, and I got to know Drew better, who's an awesome guy. You know, like he told me stuff about like how he met Kristen and stuff like that. So it was like really cool to see the, you know, not the other side that some of the band members don't get to see of Mr. Cook. It's kind of funny because like Costin and Izzy were all around my age and stuff like that. So like me and Mr. Costin, we can joke about certain things and stuff like that. Like I really enjoy catching up and talking to Mr. Costin. Mr. Izzy was always fun to, you know, I kind of miss Mike when he's not here and stuff like that. But like Costin came in and he transitioned perfectly into, you know, I think he's that balance. Costin is that balance between discipline and, you know, just kind of loosey goosey at times. You know, where he takes himself seriously, but he doesn't take himself entirely too seriously. You know, like he's very much like, all right, we need to be on our game, but you know, have fun with it. Like go out here and have a good time. You know, like it is possible to do both.